Hi folks, welcome to Economic Observations. My name is Chris. It is the 26th of March and thank you so much for being here. Today we are going to talk about the Suez Canal and how it can affect all of us. The Suez Canal was completed in 1969. It took 10 years to build. It is a man-made canal. Today, 51.5 ships carrying cargo, crude oil, grains, and all sorts of materials travel through the Suez Canal, connecting the east to the west, meaning from China to Europe and the United States. On Tuesday, the Ever Given, a 1,300-foot shipping vessel carrying 20,000 containers, wedged itself horizontally in the canal. Both the stern and the hull are ingrained in the earth on both sides. It is blocking all other ships from passing through. Millions of barrels of crude oil wait to go through the canal. There are 200 ships in the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea waiting to cross the canal. Their only other option of getting to their destination is to go around the Horn of Africa. Yes, that's right, go all the way down the east coast of Africa, around South Africa, and up the west coast. It takes approximately 9 additional days and uses much more fuel to do that. But at this point, it looks like it may be their only option. How is this going to affect you and I? Well, let's take a look at the ship. Let's take a look at the containers, the bottleneck that's going to happen at the ports, why this is happening, a supply and demand problem, global trade nightmare, and it is going to affect all of us. 12% of all global trade flows through the Suez Canal. 51.5 ships travel through the canal every day. This vessel being stuck in the canal is costing the Suez Canal approximately $400 million every hour. Why $400 million? Well, because every ship that sails through the canal, depending upon its weight, its goods, costs about $700,000 to pass the canal. Oh no, it's losing $5.1 billion per day by having it locked up. There are ships 2,000 feet apart all throughout the canal. None of them can get to their destination. And why is there such a supply and demand problem? Let's face it, in the United States and in Europe, we don't want to hold on to unnecessary items, right? There's no sense in having a warehouse of Peloton bikes or a bunch of 32-inch TVs that are going to be outdated, right? Because there's going to be new 4K versions or whatever it is. So it's based on supply and demand. It also makes corporations look richer because they only sell what they own. And they know that it can come back in a drop of a hat. The internet makes it so easy to place an order and have it at your doorstep. Have it at warehouses, have it at Amazon, Walmart, Home Depot, wherever it may be. Who would have ever expected a shipping container to be lodged in the Suez Canal, preventing all of the goods that we want in our hands? And let's face it, folks, we're all going to be hit with it. Whether you are building something, eating something, drinking something, watching something on TV, buying a new computer, whatever it may be, it's going to affect all of us. You want to buy a new car, you want to get your car repaired, you want to go to the hardware store or to Walmart or to Target or buy something on Amazon. Let's face it, we've been locked up at home. People have converted bedrooms into offices. They bought desks and computers and monitors and all sorts of things. They bought toys for their kids to play with to occupy them while mommy and daddy are working in the other room. People have been upgrading their kitchens and buying stoves and microwaves, or their hot water heater went, or a washer or a dryer went. Whatever it may be, it all comes from China, folks. And now the route has been severely impacted. I never thought about the Suez Canal before. I don't know if you did have. You know, you just think that it just miraculously comes. But in an effort to boost corporate earnings and to give dividends to shareholders, companies only buy what they sell. Very little inventory in the United States. I went to Home Depot. I built these shelves behind me. They made a pipe. I thought it was kind of a fun thing to do. I couldn't find the pipes, the elbows, the T's. They just didn't have it. I have a friend of mine who's redoing her kitchen at IKEA. And IKEA has no bottom cabinets. They're like out of stock. They're telling her September. I went to IKEA. I wanted to buy some shelves. They didn't have any, so I made my own. I wanted to buy a desk. They didn't have it. It was out of stock. I wanted to buy whatever it is I wanted to buy. They were out of it. A lot of things. And this is what's happening, folks. And what's going to happen when that Suez Canal finally frees itself up? And we don't even know when that's going to be. They're saying that it could take weeks. Listen, the stern and the hull are embedded into the ground. There are other problems happening now. They don't know how to get this ship out of the ground. They're trying to make it more buoyant by draining the fuel and the ballast of water. But the ballast of water and the fuel keep it level. They keep the bottom heavy to offset for the top being so heavy. You take away that water and all that weight of the fuel, and then the boat can go like this. It's top heavy all of a sudden. And it already seems to be leaning one way. You know, there's a current to the Suez Canal. There's winds, there's high tides, low tides. It's all having an effect on this ship. You also have a problem with hogging and sagging. Hogging and sagging is when the weight distribution of the containers is not consistent, right? It's all contingent on what's in it. So some ships put the heavy containers in the front and the back and the lighter ones in the middle. And some put the heavy ones in the middle and the lighter ones on each end. We saw in the MOL ship back in 2013, it had a weight distribution problem. And it eventually had the heavy on one end and the heavy on the other end, light in the middle, and it cracked. They don't want this to happen. They're sending out bunker barges. A bunker barge is to siphon it off, but they're also sending a barge feeder, which is a big barge with a crane to hopefully remove the containers. The problem with that is this ship is so massive, it's bigger than the Empire State Building. It is 1,300 feet long and 130 feet wide. They don't even know if a barge feeder can have a crane big enough to reach the top of the ship. That is how massive this ship is. It's carrying 20,000 containers. And folks, you know what's going to happen when it finally does get out, and God forbid we have an ecological problem going on, right? Because if that ship cracks in half and all the fuel goes into the Panama Canal, we have a bigger problem. This is a massive maritime engineering disaster. It is also a supply chain disaster. We don't know how this is going to end. We don't know when they'll even open it up once the ship is dislodged, right? And once it's dislodged, it's only going to go into the next lake area, and it's going to be inspected and looked after, and making sure that it is not going into the next passage of the Suez Canal until it gets the A-OK. And when this opens up, there's going to be a problem at the ports, because ports only have so much capacity. And it's going to be a problem loading and unloading. Let's face it, companies today don't have the inventory that we need. They didn't have the inventory when the pandemic began last March. We had no PPP. Hospitals were suffering. The N95 mask couldn't be found. You couldn't even find gloves or anything for anybody. It was a problem. The problem is the same today, whether it be iron or steel or aluminum or parts or chips or circuit boards or whatever. Everything is made in China. And now there is a massive problem getting stuff from there to here. And you don't think it's going to have an effect on you and I? Oh, it certainly will. And it will be more expensive everything. From oil prices to a refrigerator to a hot water heater to even clothes that you wear on your back. Everything is going up. Getting that boat removed is like a Tetris puzzle. I'm glad I'm not a maritime engineer. I know that the ships are not made the way they used to be. All I know is that when we go to a store, whether it be in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, what we need is not going to be on the shelves. And when it does come back, the prices are going to be more expensive because someone has to pay for these shipping containers and these ships and the vessels and the canals. And it's going to be us. It's going to be you and me. And that's the hard reality. I never thought about how things got from here to there. I always just assumed it was a pretty easy. But just like we didn't expect a vessel to get lodged in the canal, and we certainly didn't expect a pandemic to hit us last year. Are we really ready for the next cyber attack or the next financial crisis, which we know will happen too? It's something to think about, folks. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you learned something. I certainly learned a lot today reading all about the Suez Canal. I hope you liked this video. Give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks for watching.